Watch this.
The kerfuffle over Boise's pride flag carries on, and it's giving mail carriers, well, more to carry. The latest letter has the mayor of Boise pushing back and standing pat against threats of enforcement of an unenforceable law. After years in law enforcement, a former Caldwell police officer is sharing how her career was derailed in what she calls retaliation. Idaho nonprofits are facing uncertainty as federal cuts threaten crucial funding. They tell us why this could change the way they serve Idahoans and why your support matters now more than ever. The war of words over a flag continues in Idaho's capital city. You know that popcorn-eating meme meant to say, settle in, this is going to get good? Well, it's kind of like that. Two branches of the state government agreed to restrict what flags can fly on government property, and it appears the third branch may have to add their 2 cents before this battle is over. House Bill 96 went into law on April 3rd, except the law did not include any enforcement or make clear what that punishment should be should those who choose to flout the flag law. And when Boise's Mayor Lauren McLean refused to remove a pride flag from a pole on City Hall Plaza, several of Idaho's law enforcement had to admit there's nothing they can do since the law was written so poorly. But that didn't stop the state's top law enforcement official from officially and publicly admonishing the mayor for failing to comply. He sent a strongly worded letter to Mayor McLean last week. And today, Mayor McLean responded with one of her own, reiterating her stance that she and the city will continue to stand up for that segment of the Boise community and continue to fly the pride flag. But that wasn't all she said. The mayor began her letter to Attorney General Raul Labrador by saying, when throwing around phrases like in defiance of the law, end quote, it's important to be honest with each other and the citizens we serve about the real issue here. Boise isn't acting out of defiance, to be clear, she said. We're acting out of duty to our community. House Bill 96 was brought by a legislator hostile to Boise, specifically to force the city to take down the pride flag that has flown at City Hall for nearly 10 years. And that is something confirmed by lawmakers who debated the bill this past session. In a packet given to them to try to convince them to vote in favor of House Bill 96, the only examples of flags they were shown were the pride flags flown in Boise, both at City Hall and on Harrison Boulevard. They had no issues with the Canadian flag flying outside Bonners Ferry City Hall. No one asking the border town to take that one down, which is why Mayor McLean called enforcement more of a selective approach. Mayor McLean went on to say, as uncomfortable as it is to be threatened by you, the Attorney General, for standing with and for my community, I welcome the valuable public dialogue your threats have sparked. Times like these, she said, challenge us as elected officials to decide whether it's worth keeping quiet when our deeply held values are challenged, reminding us the Constitution and our democracy are living promises that must be defended, sometimes loudly and often at a personal cost. And maybe you're wondering, did the Attorney General threaten the mayor over admitted unenforceable law? In a social media post from Monday, which we talked about then, Labrador did say he is reviewing every available civil legal option under Idaho law. He also said in his original letter to the mayor, he's encouraging lawmakers to deny tax revenues and other appropriations to the city of Boise. A move Mayor McLean today claimed really isn't about enforcement. It's more like an effort to chill constitutionally protected rights and attack the human dignity of our citizens through the threat of economic and legal punishment. She said, when the state's response is to threaten punishment of local officials by withholding resources from Idahoans, well, that crosses a constitutional line of retaliatory abuse of power. Okay, so let's go back to that personal cost part. In a second social media post this week explaining why he had no legal standing on this law, the Attorney General, Labrador, said, quote, many Idahoans are justifiably outraged, end quote, by that pride flag still flying. And Labrador encouraged people to make their voices heard directly to the mayor of Boise. Well, Mayor McLean responded to that like this. Praising outrage and encouraging people to come directly to me is taken by some of your political supporters as encouragement, even approval, of actions that put city employees, city council members, and even me and my family at risk. She said she's aware of the calls to protest outside her house, much like during the pandemic, but she believes disagreements like these should be handled through dialogue in civic spaces rather than subjecting families to intimidation and potential threats. And finally, this line kind of stood out from the rest. We believe House Bill 96 is legally defective and unenforceable as written, and plan to challenge House Bill 96 on a variety of valid legal bases. When I asked the mayor's office if this means we can expect a lawsuit over the flag law, I was told to take it at face value, the letter that is, knowing this is, quote, a dynamic and unpredictable issue. So what does the AG have to say about all this? Well, it appears the mayor and her legal team do not understand the requirements of state law, he said. They did get the letter, by the way. AG Labrador saying she should follow the example of Parma Police Department, who complied with the law upon learning of its enactment, and we will continue to review every legal option under Idaho law. Yes, Parma did take its blue line flag down, but not immediately after the law went into effect. It was a couple of weeks or more. But Bonners Ferry, well, that Canadian flag still flies in front of City Hall. We called today, we checked, still there. And they've had no letter demanding its removal. Mayor McLean ended her letter today, hoping that this ends any dispute. She said, quote, "If your office intends to pursue enforcement or penalties against me for standing up for the citizens and rights I made a sacred promise to represent, I'll be at City Hall doing the work I was elected to do." Well, comments about her appearance being subjected to an alleged solicitation of a sex worker. Those are just a couple of the reasons Allison Butler felt the need to file a sexual harassment lawsuit against Caldwell's police chief, which the former Caldwell police officer did a couple of months ago. But yesterday, Butler amended her complaint to include new details about how her employment ended at Caldwell Police and new allegations of more retaliation she says has happened since she filed that lawsuit. Aspen Shumpert sat down with the officer to hear more about that and why she decided to add the mayor of Caldwell as a defendant.
I started taking classes when I was in high school, moving towards law enforcement, and now to have my career ripped out from underneath me because certain people didn't want to hold other people accountable for their actions and other people can't control themselves it's sad.
Allison Butler spent the majority of her 5 years in law enforcement with the Caldwell Police Department.
The beginning was great. Being assigned to a team, they became like brothers to me. And I would say sister, but I was always the only girl on my teams.
Shortly after she started with CPD, Rex Ingram was appointed police chief in 2022.
At first, we all saw a lot of good changes we were excited about, and then it went downhill pretty fast.
In a lawsuit filed in February, Butler accuses Chief Ingram of sexual harassment and retaliation and claims his actions caused her severe distress.
That was a large toll on me mentally, and then it turned physically. I ended up losing weight, and I was constantly stressed, and I wasn't sleeping well. And then that's when my counselor intervened, and she was like, this is going downhill fast.
Incidents, she says, she reported.
When you're going through something and you go to HR and you report it, it's because you want somebody protecting you. And when I went to HR and I went to the mayor and I told them about something that I was asking for them to intervene on, it feels like they turned around and felt the need to protect themselves from me.
On Wednesday, Butler amended her lawsuit against the department to include a new defendant, Caldwell Mayor Jerem Wagner. She says the mayor failed to take appropriate action following the reports of misconduct. She also added allegations of more retaliation against her since filing the lawsuit.
The third party did the investigation. Claims were substantiated. The HR director did recommend specific things, and the mayor chose to look the other way on that.
Substantiated allegations that Butler says she discovered through a different lawsuit against the city and the mayor that has since been settled out of court. The settled suit was the one filed by Shelley Boggy, Caldwell's former HR director, who sued in late February accusing the mayor of wrongful termination and retaliation. Boggy claims she was not reappointed to her position after she told the mayor she had concerns about the police chief continuing in his job based on findings from an independent HR investigation. Butler says the mayor's mishandling of those findings sent a clear message about where his loyalties lie.
I feel like it showed me, as well as other officers and employees, that if you bring something forward and it's against the right people, that it's probably going to go nowhere and get swept under the rug.
Butler says retaliation against her has continued since filing the lawsuit. She points to a press conference held by Mayor Wagner with City Council in attendance, where he gave a public statement of support for the police chief, with Ingram standing at his side.
That was disheartening because I was also a city employee at that time. So I feel like that was them saying, we're going to stand behind him because he's in higher power.
Butler says following that show of support, the city removed her access to city buildings and her CPD email account a year into an approved leave of absence. On April 9th, the city ended Butler's employment. According to Butler's amended complaint, the city cited her, quote, inability to work because of the PTSD she suffers related to the hostile and retaliatory actions by the chief, mayor, and CPD leadership.
For me to be fired and told, by the way, you have 2 weeks left of health insurance, that really hurt and shocked me because I'm halfway through my pregnancy, I'm 4 months pregnant, and now I have to worry about what I'm gonna do for health insurance and what I'm gonna do for a career. I didn't do anything wrong, and yet I was the person that was pushed out.
Butler says she's hoping her decision to speak up is enough to create a change for officers at Caldwell PD now and in the future.
A lot of kids grow up to want to be cops when they see that their parents are cops, and I know it's a boy. So if my future son were to grow up and want to pursue a job in law enforcement, I would pray to God that he didn't have to work for the same type of people that I did.
Additionally, Butler points to an interview where Chief Ingram did an interview with Channel 2 here in Boise where he said, quote, people are doing whatever they can to publicly defame and slander him. He said then that he looks forward to this day in court. Butler says she looks forward to that day as well. We did reach out to the city today about new developments in this lawsuit and Butler's interview. The city says without hearing what Butler says and not having a copy of the amended complaint yet, they couldn't provide a comment. They said they would issue a statement after seeing our story that just aired.
And normally when we ask about these things, they always tell us, well, pending litigation, so we're not going to get involved. But why did Allison Butler decide to share her story?
Yeah, part of that is the lawsuits that followed hers, the one by Shelley Boggy, another one that was privately settled. And so she felt like after hearing more and hearing that other people experienced some of the things that she did, she felt like it was time to speak up and hopefully encourage some change at that department.
All right, we'll see what happens. Thanks, Aspen. Well, in recent weeks, we've seen headlines from across the country about impacts nonprofits are feeling following a collection of executive orders from the Trump administration. Bottom line, many nonprofits should expect a loss of grants and partnerships from government organizations. While nearly all nonprofits do rely on donations, on average, about 1/3 of their funding comes from government sources. Well, Monday is the beginning of Idaho Gives. It's Idaho's largest days of giving. Joe Paris sat down with organizers to talk about how this campaign feels different this year. In fact, more important than ever.
The state of Idaho has 477 nonprofits that receive government grants to help power their commitment to communities. The total funding accounts for $643 million annually. Executive orders from the Trump administration are set to stop grants and government partnerships.
Nonprofits need Idahoans' support more than ever.
Ahead of Idaho's largest days of giving, Steve Burns, president and CEO of the Idaho Community Foundation, and Kevin Bailey, vice president, Impact, and Idaho Nonprofit Center, joined me on Viewpoint.
You know, there's just uncertainty, and people don't like uncertainty, right? No one likes uncertainty. I mean, obviously the stock market doesn't like uncertainty, and so there's just a lot of questions, and people are and it's coming, I think, at them so fast that the pace of change is really hard to adapt to.
These are very small operations, community-based local operations, and a $500,000 grant, a $700,000 grant goes a tremendous amount of ways to meet and allow them to provide those services.
The impact of those services are felt in every community every day. Less money for keeping families off the streets and out of their cars at night, to less money for world-class art exhibits that enrich Idahoans.
Is it a tough situation in the sense that there's a lot of questions, but maybe not clear answers right now? I know that with some of the executive orders, some of them are going to be wrapped up in court for maybe years.
Absolutely. You know, the timing of it, I think that they're trying to understand, do some of these impacts direct us, our organization? Does it just impact the sector? You know, what's it going to do to our ability to fundraise?
Nonprofits are resilient and creative by nature, but there is a practical hurdle that change and uncertainty presents.
If you have a source of funding and it's cut, and you go, well, you could go raise money for it. It's not like you turn a spigot and just more money comes out, right? I mean, fundraising is about relationships. It's about establishing, you know, identifying people to have relationships with, and then cultivating those relationships over time.
The timing of Idaho Gives presents an opportunity for Idahoans to connect with causes that matter most to them. It's fair to say that the 2025 campaign will feel different for many nonprofits than it has in years past.
I think with the uncertainty and more nonprofits thinking we've got to increase our ability to fundraise, there's a bit more urgency of saying, you know, hey, let's really hope that we can get involved in Idaho Gives. Let's hope that we can, you know, start to crank up that fundraising ability.
100% of your donation goes to that organization. They put their bank accounts into the portal. It all goes directly to them, right? Which is, and it's very quick. Within a couple of days, that transaction happens. So it is kind of instant gratification. These organizations are able to connect with those donors immediately.
And the Idaho Gives campaign begins on Monday. It'll run for 3 days, and we'll keep a close eye on it. Brian, this is a situation for nonprofits, not only here in Idaho, but across the country, where the uncertainty is making some of them question if they're going to be able to continue. It's one of these things where it's like, well, we don't want to put all of this pressure on the community to help us going. But at the same time, that is the reality. I mean, some of these nonprofits, they depend on the amount of money, the grants coming from the federal government as a part of their business model. And if that's not there, the question is, do we continue to exist?
And rely on more donations than ever. Exactly. All right. April 28th through May 1st. Idaho Gives next week. All right. Thanks, Joe. You know, a day like today, it's a good one to get outside. Spring is in full effect, sunshine and 70 degrees. Just seems to put people in a good mood and maybe feel like sharing some good news. Well, we headed downtown Boise to try to get some. And to be clear, we didn't just ask women about this, but they were the only ones willing to share. This has seen better days. Give us your good news.
What is my good news?
My good news is that I got accepted into Portland State University for psychology.
Nice.
And I'm gonna be leaving Idaho, and I'm very excited to finish my life somewhere else.
You're gonna be a Viking.
Yeah.
Psychology.
Yeah.
What do you want to do with that?
I'm gonna be a child psychologist.
Goodness.
Your good news today is what?
I got pizza for lunch, and he paid for it. Thank you, Aiden.
So you're a senior in high school.
I'm a senior in high
What are you
school.
doing after you graduate?
I'm gonna go to college for mechanical engineering.
Where?
U of I.
Why that?
My dad's an engineer. It's just always interested me. So I'm gonna go there and do that.
Big changes for you then.
I know. I'm stoked.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a great day.
You have a great
I
day.
gotta go so I don't get a parking ticket. I got engaged recently.
You did?
I did.
Wow.
Yeah.
Like how recently?
December.
Okay.
Yeah, wedding planning's paused because planning a wedding is hard and expensive.
Why not just elope?
We are like an inch away from that decision.
That's amazing. That's amazing news.
It is really good news.
So this is it. This is the guy.
This is the guy, of my one and only.
Back for a visit. So Dad moved back
Gotcha.
here, and I hadn't seen him in 7 years.
Is that your good news?
That is my very good news.
What's so good about it?
I just missed him so much. It's just, yeah. Ah. And it's good to be back in my second home, seeing the side of the family. So.
7 years is a long time.
Yeah.
What's your good news, Clara?
My grandmother is 94 years old and she seems very strong and happy, and it makes me happy. I call her every day.
Every day?
Well, almost every day.
That's pretty good. Why?
Just because she tells me she's proud of me,
It's nice to be told somebody's proud of you.
truly. You all have a good day.
Thanks, Clara. You too.
My good news today is I am a softball coach at Hawaii High School, and it's our senior night, and we have 11 seniors graduating, which is super, super exciting, and I couldn't be more proud of them.
What's the best part of being a coach?
Seeing that light bulb click after you've been working on things forever and ever and ever, and then they finally get it and are excited about that. It's just, there's no better feeling of them getting something they've been working for and finally achieving it.
Now you got to say goodbye to 11 of them.
Yes, I do. Which is good news, but sad news, so.
True.
I'm riding high after doing my first half marathon last weekend. I raced Roby Creek, ran half marathon, so very excited about that.
And that's not an easy half marathon.
No, it's not.
How'd you do?
I beat my goal by an hour,
By
my
an
time
hour?
goal. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
it was
amazing.
Really fun.
Okay, so what's next?
Doing a long bike packing trip with my husband this summer, like 400-mile bike packing trip over 8 days. So.
Wow. 400 miles. That's no half marathon.
No, it's not.
Well, good luck with that.
Thank you so much.
We need more good news.
Yeah,
Yes,
this is really
exactly.
great. I love this.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing yours.
Absolutely. Thanks.
See ya.
I love all the good news, and hey, I have more to deliver to you. You saw it in that video, and if you've been outside at all, you know a beautiful day. We're sitting at 68 degrees in Boise, blue skies. We stay nice and comfy for the rest of your Thursday evening. Sunset tonight, 8:39, and while temperatures tomorrow will actually inch up into the mid-70s, we bring some showers and thunderstorms into the mix. So your Friday evening plans, keep an eye on the sky tomorrow. Stray showers possible Saturday. Temperatures dip a bit by Sunday to the upper 60s. That will bring in some rain showers as well, then sunny and mild as we head into May next week.
All right, bear with me. I got to read some of these messages off my phone today, like this one from Brian in Boise. It says, why aren't the people who put bags over the flags at City Hall being arrested and charged? Well, it seems like Boise PD is like, we want nothing to do with this. They sent us a statement over the weekend about this saying, please reach out to lawmakers or law experts for questions about the laws regarding these issues, which didn't quite answer that question, but you get what they're saying there. We don't want anything to do with this. Can people please realize Mayor McLean is deferring to all of Boise's residents and not to Raul Labrador and Trump's obsessions? Everyone is welcome here, says Paula in Star. Meanwhile, Bob in Boise says, I don't believe in the flag or the ways of the people that fly it, but I don't pay attention to the flag, and it doesn't bother me, just as long as it has nothing to do with me. Basically saying, it's not that big a deal. If it doesn't bother you, it shouldn't bother you, kind of thing. The AG, this is Kip, who says, wait, the AG didn't know there was no enforcement in this flag bill? He's the top legal advisor to the governor. And yeah, he can give advice to lawmakers, but apparently nobody asked. We'll see you tomorrow.
Continue with us and watch free now on the KTVB Plus app everywhere you stream.